G'day guys, Solid here and welcome back to another episode of Adventure News, where we talk the latest, the greatest and sometimes the hated adventure and dual sport stories. And Kawasaki has just released an interesting teaser video, and it looks like they might have just teased a brand new KLR650 or maybe even a KLX700, as well as an updated KLX250s. So this requires some speculation, so grab your tinfoil hat, let's jump on this crazy train and get into the video. So let's start with the KLR650 speculation. It's close to the heart of the universal tight ass who spends a little too much time getting parts for his bike at the hardware store. So I think there's three options here on what this bike is. Let's start with the possibility of it being a KLR650. I think this is a strong possibility. Now, Cycle World have run this particular story, and they've done a pretty good job of putting the KLR650 next to a blown up image of the center bike. And if you look at the base of that bike, the bit we can see that's not in the cover, they match up pretty damn closely. Even that plastic bash plate looks very, very similar. So I think there is a good case that maybe they will be bringing back the KLR. I really hope this is the option that they go with, as I'm a big dual sport fan. So this possibility will get a lot of people excited, as the KLR is a massive hit around the world in the dual sport community. But what would they do if they did release the KLR 650? Well, I think they would probably try and update it a little bit. We might not even see it in a 650cc. It might be a 700cc. Maybe they'll tweak the suspension, add LED lights and try and make it a little bit more modern. We might see some updated components. It really will be interesting to see which way they go. They really could go for the budget utility vehicle all over again. It worked well in the lineup, as it was really the anti-big adventure bike. You could buy one for the quarter of a price of a GS and you could do just about anything that GS did. So it really was a great value proposition and quite a capable bike off-road. I wouldn't be taking it down any technical single track, but it definitely could do more than you would expect. Now, like I said, they probably will update this, hopefully, maybe bore it out to 700cc's to give it a bit more pep, add some LED lights and some other technologies to just bring it into the 21st century. Of course, they could go the other way, and that's why I say the KLX700. They could be looking at the Tenere 700, the KTM 790 Adventure, and the upcoming Aprilia Touareg 660, which I did a video about and I will put up here. Now, the temptation here would be maybe to just take the original KLR 650 motor, try and get it to pass those emission standards by tweaking it, boring out to 700cc's and using it as a single and putting the KLX name, which if you're familiar with, they did do a KLX 650, which was a more hardcore dirt version of the KLR 650, a bit like the XR 650R from Honda. So they could go that route with a really performance orientated 700cc single. I know that would blow a lot of minds and get a lot of people excited, and it would be something very different and fresh. I think just as likely as it is that we'll see an updated KLR 650 or 700, it's also highly likely that we'll see a middleweight parallel twin adventure bike, either called the KLX700 or the Versys 650 or 700X. That is a more dirt capable version than the current Versys 650. Something to challenge the Tenere 700 and the 790 Adventure, as I know a lot of people are also screaming for a parallel twin adventure bike that can really do some dirt riding from Kawasaki. It is a big gap in their current lineup. So that's another massive possibility. The last and final possibility that I think doesn't really have much credence is that this is a big adventure bike, something around the 1000cc's. I don't think this would be too smart of a decision, as the big adventure bike market is kind of simmering down at the moment. It's not as hot as it used to be. The focus at the moment in the market and where everyone is buying up is in the middleweight. So I think it would be a market faux pas for them to head to the big bikes. That's why I think this will definitely be a middleweight. Whether it is the mighty KLR 650 for all the stinge bags out there that want a great adventure / dual sport bike, or whether it is a modern parallel twin dirt capable adventure bike, I'm not sure. Either option would be pretty great, although I'm not going to lie, I am hoping it's going to be a KLR or a KLX700 rather than a parallel twin, but I'll be happy with either option. Let me know what you think below. Are you looking forward to them bringing back from the dead the KLR650, or are you looking more forward to a dirt-capable parallel twin version? Maybe they do that too. Maybe they call it the KLR700, but it's still a parallel twin. Who knows what they do, but one thing's for sure, we'll find out in November the 23rd. So the next couple of bikes clearly look like dual sports. You can see the spoked rims there, the high amounts of ground clearance, and they actually look like quite skinny, nimble bikes under those covers. Now there's 3 websites all commenting on this, and they all agree that this will most likely be an updated version of the KLX250s and maybe even a Supermoto version in that second picture. Now, this has got me very excited. I'll go through the couple of scenarios that I see here. Scenario 1 is that we get a nip and tuck to the existing 250s. So we get maybe some updated suspension, some LED lights, maybe a few lighter components to try and shed a little bit of weight and bring it into the modern 21st century. I think that is the most likely scenario we see here. But there is option 2, I'm calling the unicorn option. Don't act surprised, you knew I was going into unicorn territory. It's always where I steer, so let's get into it. Kawasaki have the option here to do a bigger CC variant, especially if this Supermoto theory pans out. We could see a KLX300s or even a KLX350. Now I think the 300 is the more likely option here because Kawasaki actually sell a standard 300 big bore kit straight out of the dealership for the 250s. So it isn't a big deal to just chuck that straight in from the manufacturer. It isn't a hard task just to bore it out to 300cc straight from the manufacturing plant rather than at the dealership. So they could make it a 300. That would make the Supermoto more enticing, and it would definitely make the KLX more of an argument for the best little dual sport on the market. I would actually like to see it bored out to 350cc's. The 300 only really brings the performance to just under the WR250R, so I think a 350 would be absolutely perfect. So whatever way you cut it, all of these bikes are pretty exciting. Whichever way Kawasaki goes, it's really good to see some fresh new bikes that we actually get to see in the flesh in just over a month's time. So it's quite exciting news. I'd like to know what you guys think on each of those topics. Are you looking forward to a KLR650 or a more modern parallel twin adventure bike? Are you just hoping for a nip and tuck on an already great little 250s, or were you really hoping for a 350 like me so you can ride off into your unicorn dreams? Or are you looking forward to that possibility of a Supermoto version? Either way you cut it, very exciting news. So that wraps up this video, guys. Thanks for sticking with me to the end. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps out this small and growing little channel, and it also lets me know what kind of videos you like and what kind of videos you don't like, so I can change it up moving into the future. And until then, guys, don't forget to stay shiny side up, and I'll see you in the next video. Catch you later.